Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. In this week's news, downtown Oxford is nominated for a National Register. The OHS grad student stars in a musical video, and Addison Fire Board recommends dissolving itself.
Stay tuned. Learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. Downtown Oxford may receive a spot on the National Register of Historic Places. On January 18th, State Historic Preservation Board in Lansing nominated a historical area of downtown Oxford to go on an official federal register. The register represents, in part, sites, buildings, and structures which represent American history, architecture, and/or culture. The only delay in the approval process is the month-long partial shutdown of the federal government.
By unanimous vote at their first board meeting of the year, the Addison Township Board of Trustees voted to give themselves a slight pay bump for the second year in a row. Township trustees, treasurer, clerk, and supervisor will all receive a 5% increase in pay. Township Supervisor Bruce Pearson said he and his colleagues are not raising their wages only for selfish reasons, but to keep in line with inflation, as they did not get pay raises during the lean times several years ago. The resolution to increase officials' pay will take effect on April 1st.
Oxford Village is seeking bids to resurface West Burdick Street between Ashley Way and M24. The village is planning to have the top 2 inches of road removed and replaced with 2 inches of new asphalt. The road would be repainted as well. The project is scheduled for between approximately July 1st and August 2nd. It should take 3 or 4 days to complete. Sealed bids may be submitted no later than Monday, February 18th at 2 p.m.
For now, there will not be any pot businesses in Addison Township. Unlike the village of Oxford, whose council voted last week to delay any decision on marijuana in their community, last week Addison trustees voted 7-0 with no discussion to adopt an ordinance prohibiting the sale, growing, and transportation of marijuana in their township. This ordinance will not affect individuals' ability to use on their own property in Addison Township. The ordinance will take place 30 days. It will take 30 days to take effect.
Last week at the Addison Township Fire Board meeting, members voted 4-0 to recommend the board be dissolved. The Fire Board has been an essential government body during times of contention between the fire department and the township. Fire Board members felt that they need more authority than they had to be effective. The Fire Board is scheduled to meet once again on February 19th at 7 p.m.
It appears Oxford Village businesses may be allowed to extend their sales floor beyond their front door. A proposed zoning ordinance amendment in the C1 Transition District is headed for the Village Council. After discussing the issue at the January planning meeting, a 6-0 vote approved a recommendation to Council to approve the amendment at their next meeting. Under the amendment, there are two definitions that would be added to the ordinance. One for an accessory outdoor display, and 2 for an outdoor display sales with restrictions.
2017 Oxford High School grad Paige Parent uses her singing voice for good. In 1913, the Great Lakes saw a blizzard so severe it was called the White Hurricane. The storm brought 90-mile-per-hour winds and over 30-foot waves to the lakes. Over 250 people died. Parent performs "Come to the Light," a song about the storm. The video made its debut at the Port Huron Museum in December. Parent is hoping someone will take notice of her talent and will translate into a music career. She's planning to release an extended play record this year containing more pop songs she composed.
Oxford Township Parks and Recreation Department is asking senior citizens to share their wants, needs, and suggestions for the new senior center. Last week, the department mailed a survey to over 3,000 people in Oxford households to registered voters age 60 and older. The center is currently under construction at Seymour Lake Township Park and is expected to open sometime in April. The deadline to return the survey is Friday, February 1st. That's this week, so you better hurry up. They can be dropped off at the Parks and Rec's office on Seymour Lake Road or mailed to Oxford Township Parks and Recreation. Copies of the survey are available at the office, so if you want something out there, you better get it in.
And last week, the North Oakland Transportation Authority Board formed a 3-member real estate committee to search for a new facility for its administrative offices, dispatch center, and 21 vehicles. Since Noda formation in 2001, the authority has moved several times, and Director Lynn Gustafson hopes its next home will be as permanent. The transportation service provided over 41,000 rides last year, 8% more than it did in 2017. This year, Noda will have new logos placed on its vehicles. The color scheme will change from green and white to red and yellow. For more information about Noda and how to apply for service, visit www.ridenota.org.
The Oxford Leader is no longer free to view online. Unlimited web access is now going to cost subscribers $35 for an annual subscription. In addition to unlimited online access, this cost includes a weekly printed edition mailed to your home. For more information or to subscribe, you need to call 248-628-4801.
Toby Bonetti, son of locally known artist Barbara Bonetti, spoke last week at the Oxford Public Library. He talked about being the son of an artist and about his mother's artwork, which included 2 famous large murals she painted in 1938, which were subsequently donated to the Oxford Museum after her death. Murals are currently on loan for display at the library through the end of February. Library Director Brian Cloutier is asking folks to visit the library and view the Oxford murals at eye level before they return to the museum, where they hang high off the ground.
That's really cool. I knew the Bonettis and Toby lives in Lake Orion, so they're local people, and I think it's really, really great that we get to see her artwork, Barb Bonetti's. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the raises that people are getting, and we received one here as well. But I guess I'm happy that Addison Township is getting such a nice, substantial raise. I know they got one last year as well, so hopefully they're brought up to what they were missing in the leaner years. But last week I mentioned that the Village of Oxford is going to use our franchise, or half of our franchise fees, for their sidewalks next year, or whenever the upgrade happens to all the roads and everything. And then I'm hoping, because we're in a situation where the governor signed a bill that could severely affect our franchise fees, I'm hoping maybe the village will consider giving us our full franchise fees back next year, after they've used our previous franchise fees to fix up their sidewalks. I hope the same goes for Addison. We've asked for our full franchise fees from Addison several times, and last year they used what they keep half as well. They used it on their roads
for salt brine?
Yeah, I think it was to chloride their roads. So it seems like they're doing really well out there now, and they're getting their raises. I hope they would consider that we need a raise in our franchise fees as well. I know that once they keep franchise fees, it's hard to get them back. But if maybe, I know that you're watching, because you're watching out in Addison Township, maybe you can put a bug in their ear, in your trustee's ear, that the next time we ask for our full franchise fees, we're asking because we need it to keep going, to keep giving you the news. So
Yeah, actually, Addison has one of their trustees that serves on the Communications Cable Commission.
yes,
That would be
Jacob Newby.
Jacob Newby. So he's a representative of the station here.
Well, and I know that they support us. I know that Bruce is a huge advocate for us. I know that they understand what we're up against financially. And so I'm not saying they're not supporting us. They do emotionally support us. Eric Stempf has mentioned many times that he supports us. I know the fire chief out there supports having this a service for the community.
I think if they can recognize that there's a need for them to get an increase because of what they're making and what compared to other communities, that maybe they'll look at the station too. That that we can't live on hopes and prayers either. It takes funding.
Our franchise fees are severely threatened based on the bill that the governor signed during that lame duck session. So we're begging for OCTV because we like being around this community. We like giving you information about our communities, all 4 of them. That's information you are not going to get on Channel 2, 4, or 7. We're here for a reason. It's to advocate for you. It's to record the history of these communities, and we want to stay.
It's a great community that we live in, and many of you residents out there have reciprocated too, in support of the station. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we do appreciate that. So that's it. That's our opinion. That's my opinion, and that's it for Oxford News this week. If you'd like to learn more about these stories and others, pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper, or you can catch us on our website, occtv.org, or YouTube, and of course our regular cable channel Spectrum, Channel 191, and AT&T Channel 99.
And coming up is OCTV's very own Cody Wright with sports and schooling around, incorporating great topics with Alexis Ware. And you won't want to miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Terry Stiles. Thanks for watching Oxford News this week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, backseat driving can irritate even the most stoic of human drivers, but for autonomous vehicles, those nagging comments could lead to the perfect road technique. The software that powers autonomous vehicles is often trained on hours of footage of people driving. This footage normally only contains human drivers at their best, but this could mean that if an autonomous vehicle is faced with a pileup ahead, for example, it would only know how to stick in its lane rather than swerving out of the way. So, Jacob Beck and his colleagues at Brown University in the U.S. have taught autonomous driving software to learn from both good and bad driving examples with the help of constructive criticism from a backseat driver. In a simulator, the team recorded a human driving well, swerving and changing lanes as if to avoid something, with each task lasting about 20 minutes. A backseat driver labeled the footage positively or negatively to show proportionately how well the driver was performing. In total, the team collected 21,000 labeled stills. The software absorbed all this information like a child learning from bickering parents before taking a spin itself in the simulator. The team recorded times until either the car crashed or the car had driven off the road. It performed over 1.5 times better than when no initial feedback was provided. Here, at least, backseat driving had some merit. Sometimes seeing bad behavior and knowing it's bad can be very instructive, says Michael Littman at Brown University, a co-author of the paper. Next, the researchers would like to try teaching the system to cope with a safety driver taking over control, the kind of backseat driving no right-minded human would stand for. And over at Volvo, the battery electric Polestar 2, expected to arrive in the U.S. in early 2020, will deliver 400 horsepower and have an estimated range of 350 miles. The car will be based on Polestar's compact modular platform, which underpins the Volvo XC40 crossover. Polestar is Volvo's electrified performance car brand. The Polestar 2 will be Volvo's first model with Google's Android operating system embedded in the infotainment system. It will include voice-controlled Google Assistant, Google Play Store, Google Maps, and other services. Volvo tweeted the demo link offering a look at the new system. Embedding Google's technology into the infotainment system is a shift for automakers as they most currently limit access to just Android Auto, allowing the driver to view and use apps on the vehicle's touchscreen after plugging in a smartphone. Volvo's decision to team up with Google rather than reinvent the wheel with an in-house infotainment solution was about pragmatism. Google's system will also be built into models produced on Volvo's second-generation SPA2 platform, which will debut in 2021 with launch of the third-generation XC90. And over at Lincoln Motor Company's Aviator crossover, which executives and dealers will expect to become the brand's bestseller, will start at $52,195, including shipping. The gasoline version of the three-row crossover also includes a reserve model that starts at $57,285, while the high-end black label trim will start at $78,790. The base plug-in hybrid model called Grand Touring will start at $69,895, including shipping, and the plug-in black label model trim will start at $88,895. Customers can order the vehicle beginning in February. The gasoline version goes on sale this summer, while the plug-in will go on sale in late summer, according to a Lincoln spokeswoman. The Aviator, which slots between the Navigator and Nautilus, was engineered on a new rear-wheel drive platform. It comes standard with a 3-liter gas engine paired with a 10-speed transmission that gets 400 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. The Grand Touring model combines an electric motor with a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 engine to deliver the brawniest powertrain Lincoln has ever offered at 450 horsepower and 600 pound-feet of torque. The vehicle features a new air guide suspension system which replaces traditional coil springs with air bladders that can raise or lower the vehicle up to 3.1 inches depending on the situation. An adaptive suspension feature uses the forward-facing camera to scan the road for obstacles such as potholes, and consistently adjust the vehicle accordingly. In addition to a host of driver assist technology, the Aviator also features a phone as a key feature. Customers can download the Lincoln Way app and use their smartphones to lock, unlock, and start the vehicle. Up to 4 phones can be connected. If the phone's battery dies, the Lincoln says a backup passcode can be entered on the exterior keypad to enter the vehicle, and the center touch screen can be used to start the engine. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways.
What's going on, Wildcat fans? Cody Wright back here once again for this week's Sports Report. We're having an incredible winter season so far, and we are well into it. However, some of these sports look to have deep playoff potential, so let's just dive in and see how this last week looked. First off, just a quick recap on the boys basketball team, who are now on a 11-game winning streak after last week's game here, taking down the 12-0 record Pontiac. The boys going into the game knew that Pontiac was going to be a tough team. Head coach Steve Ladlaw says just that, but these guys showed up to play and did it with style. The game before was exciting as well, since we were taking on Lake Orion, our school rivals, but they proved to be no match for us. Against Pontiac, all around we showed that we have a strong bench as well as a solid starting lineup. Sophomore Zach Townsend, however, was the guy that stood out the most with 18 points, including 5 threes, and went 3 for 3 at the line. He was filling in for injured player Nolan Hiller, who has also been playing fantastic this year. 49-46 was the final score, and the boys now hold the #1 spot in the OAA Blue Division. On the flip side, the boys swim team improved their undefeated record now to 5-0 after taking it to Romeo and Notre Dame Prep in a dual meet on the 17th. The boys took down Romeo 126-60 and Notre Dame Prep 130-44. The next meet is against Bloomfield Hills on the 24th. However, head coach Jackie Rank says the Oakland County Championships is their main focus. Over the next week, they will look to continue their winning streak as well as qualify more athletes into the championships. Also, the girls cheer team, who recently took second at the Knights Invite at Oak Park on the 19th. The final 2 rounds of the competition gave our girls some of the season's bests, with a score of 217.36 in the second round and 290.70 in the third round. The total with all three rounds left the Wildcats with a final score of 732.16, giving them a second place finish overall. And last but not least, the Oxford and Avondale United hockey team is starting to really show improvements here towards the end of their season. They did suffer a tough loss falling to Birmingham United in the second period, 9-0, the game ending on a mercy rule. However, the next night the boys got the win, taking down Marysville 4-2. Last week's Sports Report, I rattled off the score. However, I want to go in depth more on this game. The first period was scoreless and all around even in most areas. We got the first goal in the second coming from forward senior Ben Pratt. Marysville then tied the game up moments after. However, Pratt didn't take it lightly and answered right back with another goal, making it 2-1. By the end of the second, though, the game was tied once again at 2 as both teams headed to the locker room to regroup. And coming out in the third, sophomore forward Jake Billis and freshman forward Brian Budd both put one in the back of the net to give us our final score of 4-2. Goaltender Austin Spivey also came through big for the boys that night with a total of 51 saves. They're now 4-14 overall in the season and looking better as the season goes on for sure. Well, folks, that's going to do it for this week's report. For any more info on these events and more, go to oxfordathletics.org. There's plenty of game breakdowns, statistics, and more all right there for you to check out. Once again, that is oxfordathletics.org. While you're at it, might as well check us out at OCCTV.org. All of our coverage of these events and more can be found on our YouTube page, which you can access through the website. Once again, that is OCCTV.org. I want to thank you all for watching and remind you to tune in next time. But until then, I'm Cody Wright. Go Wildcats.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, rotavirus vaccine may protect children from developing type 1 diabetes. In Australia, the vaccine for rotavirus, the most common cause of severe diarrhea in young children, was added to routine early childhood immunizations in 2007. Kirsten Parrott at the University of Melbourne in Australia and her colleagues compared the rates of diabetes in the 8 years before and after the introduction of the rotavirus vaccine. They found a 14% drop in type 1 diabetes in children ages 0 to 4, but no changes in children 5 to 14 years old. Parrott says that it is likely because the children in the study under age 5 were born after the introduction of the vaccine, which must be given before exposure to the virus to have any protective effect. Rotavirus infects pancreas cells by hijacking a natural receptor on their surface, which leads to cell death. The vaccine stops this process in insulin-producing cells, which may be why it is effective against diabetes as well. Parrott and her team are now looking into links between type 1 diabetes and reduction in pancreas size associated with the disease. And in the ocean, when a hagfish is chased by a shark, it spews out slime that clogs the predator's jaws, allowing it to escape. The slime expands very fast, and now we know why. To investigate, Gaurav Chowdhury at the University of Illinois and his colleagues analyzed the working of the goo. They found that it is a mix of mucus cells and 1 micrometer thick thread-like fibers that are 10 to 16 centimeters long and twisted into a tiny ball. These balls have a single thread sticking out. They unravel in under 0.4 seconds to help form a fibrous network for mucus to stick to. To figure out how this happens so fast, Chowdhury and his team first established that force must be applied on the thread. This force comes from the drag of moving seawater acting on a mucus-covered thread. The unraveling is even quicker if one end of the thread is stuck to a surface, well, like the shark's mouth. Best, though, was attachment to its gills, where water is moving more quickly. This helps explain why a shark gets a shot of slime to the gills when it goes for a hagfish. Smart fish. In our last story, the world is full of distractions. Unfortunately, the world also requires us to work. Coping with the first while still doing enough of the second is, where was I? Oh yeah, the world is full of distractions. If you work in an office, it might be emails, phone calls, or colleagues with queries. If you're at home, the contents of the fridge, or a sudden fixation on dust bunnies under the sofa. Sometimes it even takes less. If you're sitting and doing work and someone near you says something particularly interesting like sex, that can pull your focus, says Adrian Furnham, a psychologist and management expert at BI Norwegian Business School in Oslo. So, how can we rein in our wandering minds? Switching off email and messaging services helps. And put your smartphone and other extraneous screens away. They often attract our attention even if they're off. If you've got a screen, that's not good if you're trying to process information, says Furnham. If you're attempting to pop on headphones and use music to shut out distractions, avoid listening to anything familiar. Knowing the words or tune well will distract you even more. Furnham's own research shows this effect is most pronounced for introverted people, that is. The worst distraction of all would be for introverts doing complex word processing tasks with loud, familiar music, he says. Well, not all distractions are bad, however. If you are doing something repetitive, like stuffing envelopes or laying bricks, being distracted by listening to music or podcast or engaging in a conversation with a coworker can ultimately boost productivity. Creativity can benefit from distraction too. Jihei Shin, now at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, has found that when people played Minesweeper or Solitaire for 5 minutes before coming up with new business ideas, they were more creative than those who didn't play. Switching between tasks can also help. In general, this is an enemy of productivity. It encourages mistakes, stops us from completing things, promotes forgetfulness, and lowers the quality of writing. But when you're trying to come up with creative solutions, task-switching distractions can help prevent cognitive fixation on ineffective approaches. So, if you are a creative type, try lining up 2 or more tasks and spend your day frantically switching between them. Or, if that doesn't work, just go play on your phone. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
Hi, I'm Rachel Baker. Welcome to OCTV's weekly calendar of events, where we feature community activities and family outings around Oxford, Leonard, and Addison Township. If you have something you'd like to share with our audience on television, please contact us for more information at our studio. Our number is 248-628-9658, or you can visit our website at occtv.org. Oxford Township's Parks and Recreation Department is asking senior citizens to share their suggestions regarding a new senior center that's built just for them. Last week, the department mailed 3,100 surveys to Oxford households with registered voters aged 60 and older. The 4-page survey contains 15 questions, plus a section for comments and suggestions. The senior center is expected to open sometime in April. The deadline to return these surveys is Friday, February 1st. They can be dropped off at the Parks and Rec Administrative Office in Seymour Lake Park or mailed to them at 2795 Seymour Lake Road in Oxford. Copies of the survey are available to interested seniors at the Parks and Rec office. And next up, if you're interested in joining the Oxford Chamber of Commerce, consider attending one of their Coffee Connect events. You'll have the ability to sit and enjoy some informal networking that may benefit you and inspire new ideas to run your own company. Be sure to save the date for the next Coffee Connect, which will be held on Tuesday, February 5th at AT&T from 8 to 9 a.m. The address is 1510 South Lapeer Road. There are also mix and mingle events you can attend. On Thursday, February 21st, 24th Street Tavern will host a mix and mingle from 5 to 7 p.m. And next up, one Sunday, February 10th, join Oakland Christian School for an open house from 1 to 3 p.m. The Independence Village of Waterstone is also having an open house on February 4th from 4:30 to 6 p.m. The event will include a tour of the facility, a nice meal, and a bottle of wine. Reserve your spot by this Friday, February 1st to 248-236-8300. Enjoy a special night out of dancing, music, and refreshments, and a complimentary photo to capture the moment. Pictures will begin at 6:30 p.m. and the dance will run from 7 to 8:30. I know this is early, but registration is already open, so I'm telling you now so you can reserve your spot. Go to the Oxford Parks and Rec website at oxparkrec.org to register now. And now, what are the sweetest animals on earth? Dogs! Almost everybody loves dogs. If you've been thinking about getting one, or if you already have one and you know you really want another, then the Canine Stray Rescue League is the place for you. Canine Stray hosts regular adoption events at Harvest Time Market on Drainer Road and Petco in Auburn Hills. This Saturday, come out and adopt a pet in need. The Canine Strays will be at Petco on South Baldwin Road from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. For every adoption, Petco makes a donation to Canine Stray, and all adopters will receive a coupon book to Petco for all your pet needs. Next Saturday, another adoption event will be held at Harvest Time on South Lapeer Road. All adopters will receive a free bag of Nutrisource dog food, the same kind Canine Stray feeds their own dogs. For more information, please call Canine Stray Rescue League at 248-628-0435. This is Oxford Community TV, and I'm your calendar host, Rachel Baker. Be sure to tune in next week for your weekly schedule of events.